Arts Education Threshold Concepts. Mir Land 2003 defined threshold concepts as a way of thinking about the arts that provide the basis for conceptualizing the discipline. The following are the 6 threshold concepts. First, the arts are meaning-making experiences. They are scientific, numerate, and linguistic ways of knowing and making sense of our world. These ways of meaning-making involve analytical, distance, and discursive conceptualizations. Matthews 1999 refers to knowing in the art is called somatic knowing. This way of knowing is embodied and involves the senses, perception, mind or body, action, and reaction. Through our embodied experiences, we're able to know about the different things around the world because we live with our senses. It is important in education for children to make use of their sensory faculties to experience and make meaning in the world. When children explore and represent experiences through art making and review the experiences, they are engaged in meaning making. Through active involvement in arts exploration, the child is constructing knowledge of their own sense of the world. Children are allowed to create meaning by encouraging them to learn on an experiential and inquiry-based approach. This signifies that meaning is viewed as means of investigating and exploring the world. Inquiry-based learning nurtures children's wonderment, curiosity, imagination, and creativity. Reflective, critical thinking about and interaction with the arts around them refines children's understanding as they investigate and create. These importance help to develop sense of identity of the children, which in turn develops their self-confidence and self-esteem. Children are the agents in their own learning, and the teacher's role is to facilitate the children's engagement by providing learning experiences that help to develop their capabilities challenges in rich and interesting ways. The second concept is arts learning is praxis-based. The arts are a form of praxis. It means that learning in the art involves embodied and lived-through experiences. Research has shown that our sensory motor experiences contribute to our problem-solving, language, and conceptual understanding. In praxis-based endeavors, the knowing comes from the doing, and understanding that arises from this engagement simply cannot be gained any other way. The knowledge is in the body. Students must engage in the practical process in order to learn. In an inquiry learning approach through praxis, exemplified in contemporary arts educations, the emphasis lies on art as experience or process rather than art as a product. Art learning is characterized by being in the moment and requires personal investment of time and energy in making, doing, and in acting. Brainstorming, working ideas through several stages of evolution, discarding weak ideas, trying again, incorporating new ideas, putting pieces of ideas together in new combinations, discarding the lot, and starting over would all be part of the learning process. The 8 studio habits of mind, according to Hetland et al. 2007, are develop craft, engage and persist, envision, express, observe, reflect, stretch, and explore art, world, or community. The studio habits of mind provide structure and emphasis for teachers when planning and implementing arts learning experiences where the learning process is a primary concern. The next concept is developing arts literacies facilitates expression and communication in the arts. Being literate means being knowledgeable and able to communicate in particular subject or field. In recent decades, the need for children to be multi-literate or literate in a variety of domains in order to function in the modern world has stimulated the development of curricula. The terms such as transliteracy, 21st century literacies, and epiliteracy, according to Huber, Denham, and Chalk 2015, are terms that describe the growing number of ways in which we think, make sense, and communicate in multimodal forms through a wide range of platforms, tools, and media. People needed to be able to function in a society that relied on oral forms of communication before the printing press was introduced. Thus, they developed highly sophisticated systems that supported learning and functioning in a world where knowledge and ideas were conveyed orally and through images, music, dance, and demonstration in daily life and from one generation to the next. Modern forms of literacy in pedagogy evolved as the printing press and the world of books turned oral-oriented cultures into societies based on the written word. The advent of digital forms communication having a similar powerful effect on our society and has drawn attention to the multiple ways in which we understand, critique, construct, and communicate meaning. What is becoming increasingly apparent is that art literacy is as important as numeracy and language literacy for functioning effectively in this emerging world. Next, creativity is at the heart of arts education. Human beings are naturally creative. Creativity is highly valued because the ability to be inventive, think outside the square, develop new paradigms, find new solutions, think flexibly, and solve unfamiliar problems are the types of capabilities deemed necessary to meet the challenges of rapidly changing world. All of these capabilities demand an inquiry-led approach that is founded on creative imaginative thinking and design. Accordingly, in the Australian curriculum, the development of critical and creative thinking is listed as one of the 7 general capabilities that children's schooling should address. The focus on developing children's creativity capabilities through education implies that creativity can be developed by certain educational experiences. Since creativity is the mainstay of arts practice, the attention has been on arts education. Creativity is a skillful completion of project requiring manual skill in the ability to follow directions. It can be explained in terms of characteristics shared by people that have creative dispositions or the characteristics of the climate in which creativity flourishes. In other cases, the degree of the creative thinking process have been enumerated and the nature of creative behavioral defined. These various accounts of creativity in actions are presented as models or theories. Recognizing creativity, creative products or outcomes, and creative dispositions are the distinguishing features. Creative outcome must exist, original, revelations, solve a problem or resolve challenges, and they must be elegant and ingenious. On the other hand, creative dispositions rather than being separate, distinct skill that we have or do not have is about approaches and interpret our own experience of the world. Costa and Kalik 2008-2009 define the mind habits that characterize a creative thinking dispositions. People with creative dispositions are curious, incurring in learning through exploration, persistent in their quest for understanding, solving or inventing, able to take intellectual risks, comfortable with difference and nonconformity, playful and divergent in their approach to problems and able to suspend closure, inclined to play with ideas in their minds, accustomed to working with intuitions and hunches, and lastly, intrinsically motivated. These characteristics of creative dispositions are not necessarily to exhibit whether it is just a type of behaviors that would be encouraged to children and their approach to learning. Examining the stages of creative process is another way of understanding creativity. Wallace 1926 described this as preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. Alternatively, Guilford 1986 present creative thinking as divergent thinking that involves fluency, flexibility, originality, and elaborations. Next, arts education is situated in culture. Culture is a broad term, but it refers to the shared heritage, beliefs, costumes, traditions, values, artistic expression, symbols, and conventions that binds people together and underpins their identity as a group. Culture is the manifestation of who we are, and artistic creations and practices play an important part of individual and community cultural life and identity. One of the important ways we recognize ourselves and establish how we belong is through our cultural expression of identity, such as music, dance, and art. Here we have cultural diversity, wherein forms of artistic expression within cultural context, and artistic expression in one culture being similar to or different from artistic expression in another. Exploring and supporting the diversity of cultures through artistic expressions and practices is one way to foster cultural awareness and interactions while also validating and enriching children's own cultural backgrounds. Another one is Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander and Asian cultures. The arts provide fertile ground for the study of Aboriginal and Torres Islander artworks and artistic traditions, as well as a variety of Asian cultures. The arts represent rich territory for the exploration of the artworks and artistic traditions of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and diversity of Asian cultures. When planning to introduce the artworks from this culture into lessons, you should be aware of the following. Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and Asian cultures are not monolithic. Aim to explore all such forms of artistic expressions. Respect the genesis of artworks from different cultures by making sure you understand the context in which the artwork are made. And aim to lead children inside their own culture and artistic expression through reference to the artwork of the others. And the last concept is arts education involves developing aesthetic sensibilities. Aesthetic is a branch of philosophy that studies the nature of art. It encompasses the concept of beauty as well as a sensory perception of the universe, as well as concerns represented by questions. While there are not always straightforward answers to these questions, considering them and the problems they pose helps to improve aesthetic sensibility. People with well-developed aesthetic sensibilities are fascinated by the arts as phenomenon in their lives and see them as essential to being human. They engage with art on many levels and have informed opinions about art in both their natural and cultural environments. Their assessment of their environment goes beyond the practical and includes sensory and emotional responses. Teachers may use children's sense of wonder to help them cultivate artistic sensibilities according to Hagama 1990. Children's concentration and attention to details of their environment, as well as the quality of their work, are important in artistic activities. These practices, when combined with opportunities for children to react to artworks and participate in discussions about the essence of the art, to make the observation and provide explanation for their opinions, can lead them down the path of aesthetic growth. Teachers should cultivate their own artistic sensibility in order to be able to teach more efficiently, such as designing realistic arts environments, facilitating discussions, and providing sound commentary in the arts, as well as valid input to students on their work. Your efforts to encourage high-quality arts education will be aided by an established aesthetic sensibility.